I'm going to kick off. I'm sure we're going to have people joining as we go. But yeah, for those of you who have joined today, thank you so much for giving up your time. We always love to see when we get a really great RSVP response, because it means that we've got a topic that people are pretty interested in, which is awesome. And so for those of you who are new, who've never attended these sessions before, this used to be an account engagement user group that was, we've got both Sydney and Melbourne in place. And I'm sorry for my other user group members, I didn't put a user group slide up with everyone's names and introduce it for an introduction. But just to call out, in Melbourne, we've got myself, Andy, Lakshmi, and Chai. And then we've got in Sydney, and just keep me here honest here, Anu. We've got Anu, we've got Rahul, we've got Kavana, and we've got Rob, who recently joined us. So these are really, from being like a one-man band user group, we've now got both of the user groups are full up. We've got our 4 leaders in both, which is fantastic. Anyone in Brisbane want to put their hand up and start something? That's a great idea. Yeah, I've got someone you can chat to as well. So yeah, it's now called the Marketers User Group. And so it means we can actually start to cover off quite a broader number of topics. And we're not just kind of locked into doing account engagement. So what I wanted to do today, and let me just preface this to say that I used to be on the Marketing Cloud Advisory Board, so I have been very close to this particular product from its conception. However, I'm not on the board anymore, and but being a marketing champion, which some of us on this call are, has actually exposed us to a lot about this product for months and months and months, because it has actively been implemented inside out of the US for about 18 months now, and then Europe. And so ANZ only got access to this particular platform at World Tour this year in March. So been very fortunate enough to be on that Marketing Champions group. And I would encourage everyone on this call, if like you haven't heard about the Marketing Champions, Salesforce Marketing Champions, and you've never applied to be one, I would absolutely encourage anybody here to actually make that application. The content that we get exposed to and the information we see and the networks we make through that have been phenomenal. And so probably learned way more out of this product than I would have being on the advisory board. And so it's kept me very close to everyone. But essentially, today I wanted to call out these 3 people, because these trailblazers and marketing champions, each one of them is one, put together an amazing series. It's for 7 series presentations on the platform. So they have gone in huge depth into different components of Marketing Cloud on Call. I have, and we will share this deck afterwards, I have included a link you'll see in here of the 7 series. It's hosted on YouTube, and I would highly recommend that if anyone's kind of looking to upskill and wants to go deeper into something, you must have a look at those workshops, at those recordings. And thank you to Claudia, Aaron, and Francois for taking their time. They're all based in Europe and America. Claudia is known to some of us on this call because she used to be one of our colleagues and has moved to Germany. But thank you to them, because it's with them that they've really started to create this bubble underneath the product, and they've exposed quite a lot of information to those of us. Also, just to say, as much as I've seen the product and I've been able to get access to it way ahead of a lot of people, I haven't actually done a real life implementation yet. So, you know, there's a big difference between spinning up a demo org, and then actually going into a real life implementation. But while I've been doing that, I've been thinking about things that I think would be really important for a consultant to think about, or for a customer to consider. So I'll try and call those out as we're going through things today. I put the forward-looking statement in because they had it in theirs, and so we just followed suit, and everybody knows what this is about from a Salesforce perspective. So yeah, just put that in. And then I wanted to give you all a little bit of history for those of you who might not know it, just as to why they sort of where they've landed and why they've landed. So most of us are sitting here today either use account engagement or Pardot, what used to be called Pardot and ExactTarget. And we all know that the marketing platforms that Salesforce uses have never actually been built by Salesforce themselves, but have been through acquisition. Likewise, have all the other things like your Evergage, which was Interaction Studio, Datarama, which is now Intelligence, and the CDP. So this is quite exciting from a Salesforce perspective, because they've kind of gone, well, we've had all these acquisitions and we've done pretty well and we've got a really good traction and we're well known in the ecosystem, but here's an opportunity for us to actually start thinking about things from a more unified perspective. So you're not having someone logging into another system like Marketing Cloud still is. You're actually now logging into one system. So moving from that sort of more complex independent marketing apps, which we call them, and bringing everything into like that experience where it's one system, you have the same UI, you have the same terminologies, that everyone, whether you're a CRM user or a marketing user, you're starting to refer to things in a similar way. It is actually bringing that ecosystem quite close together, because you're suddenly seeing that there's less of a disparate sort of separation between the CRM people in a business and the marketing folk. And when we get into the platform, you'll see the UI. You wouldn't even know that I'm sort of sitting in the marketing platform, other than it's got marketing language. Then obviously they've sort of starting to bring, and we would have seen this happen, the Evergage, which is Interaction Studio, then Marketing Cloud Personalization, and is now actually working off Data Cloud as well, as it's called personalization, Salesforce Personalization. The Datarama, you would have heard an announcement earlier on this year that they've actually now introduced that into Data Cloud as Intelligence, Data Cloud Intelligence. And then what we're seeing here today is the ExactTarget and Pardot and the CDP type of environment kind of moving into the core platform and being called, what we call it now, is Marketing Cloud on Core. So some of you might hear it referred to as Marketing Cloud Growth or Marketing Cloud Advanced. That just differentiates the subscription level. So in essence, it's Marketing Cloud on Core. So it's Marketing Cloud that's built on Core. But there's two subscriptions. There's a growth model, and then there's the advanced model. And one of the biggest differentiators as to the growth and the advanced for me right now is the WhatsApp and the SMS conversational capability that you unlock in the advanced versus the growth. And then there are some other things, but for me, that's kind of a standout. I love the idea of conversational texting, and I've had an amazing experience with WhatsApp with a company that's done a fantastic job of an airline where I landed, and as I was taxiing up to, we were taxiing and I switched my phone on, there was a WhatsApp straight away saying, hey, how does the flight? And so you say it was great or it wasn't great. And then by the time we got to to get off, disembark the plane, it had gone through all the questions it had for me, and I'd done I'd done my answers, and off I went. So really awesome experience. Why does it matter? It matters because obviously it moves us into this more unified sort of environment. It's this one trusted platform. The AI capability, so that Agentforce, some of you might have sort of seen, well, there's been this huge amount of noise around service agents and sales agents, and we haven't really had a lot of bubbling up around marketing agents. A large part of the Agentforce stuff and the AI capability has been built in this platform, and you'll see it come to life today when we do a demonstration. And then obviously the ability really to use the unified data of Data Cloud to personalize across that entire customer relationship. So it's kind of like that northern stars that a lot of marketers are looking for when we try to execute on our day-to-day stuff. I'm going to run through a little bit around Marketing Cloud. So what I've tried to do is take a little bit of what Aaron said, a little bit of what Claudia said, a little bit of what Francois said, and consolidate 7 hours into kind of 45 minutes. So if I rush through this, it's, as I said, I've given you links to all the detailed sessions. You can go and have a look. I thought this would just sort of whet the appetite a little bit today. The intention is that we were thinking of doing a more detailed Data Cloud session in the next session to try and unpack the importance, because you'll see when I speak about Data Cloud, I think Data Cloud will make, the Data Cloud implementation will make or break this product. So if you've got a poor Data Cloud implementation, you're going to run into frustration and the marketers are going to hate it. If you've got a great Data Cloud implementation, I feel like it's going to be really easy for the marketers to pick it up and run with it. That's my personal view. I'd love to hear anyone else's comments, maybe at the end when we've got time. So just a couple of highlights. We've spoken about it's been built on core. It works seamlessly with Data Cloud. It has to work with Data Cloud. We're starting to break down those data silos that we've, as marketers, I think one of the biggest things has always been a pain point is that the silos of data has hindered us from actually being brilliant at joining dots and creating that amazing customer experience. And so I think this is like the start of trying to break those silos down. The AI stuff we've mentioned includes Salesforce flows. And so there's two learning curves, I think, for all of us that have worked on account engagement and account marketing cloud, the two biggest learning curves for us. And if I was someone in the ecosystem today thinking, what do I do? Where do I start? One of them is Data Cloud. Like if you had your eyes closed and your ears closed and you didn't hear about Data Cloud for the last 18 months that Salesforce have been trying to push it, it's like to get some kind of understanding of Data Cloud is critical. And then the other thing is flows. Flows, no marketer's ever been exposed to flows, right? We know our CRM teams can do amazing things with flows in the back end of the CRM. And suddenly here's a platform that's been built on all the automations are done through flows. So, you know, again, if there's some skill sets that you're thinking you're wanting to pick up, I've got actually Claudia was really keen on learning flow at the end of last year. She found someone on Upwork that she said, could you teach me? And then this person and her got together every single week and they taught her about flow and how to think about flow and how to do flow. So, you know, just a couple of ways of upskilling. And I think it would do everyone in this particular call huge advantage to look into that. And then the other thing that's really cool is that there's the shared builders and tool sets across all the clouds. So suddenly now you can actually, through the CMS, you can start to share templates and builders and stuff, which is really, really good. Yeah, thanks, Vlad. Trailhead. Always remember Trailhead too. Okay, so at the beginning of this, I said to you all that if I feel like a Data Cloud implementation that goes wrong is going to make or break this product. It's critical to the success of this from what I've seen. Without actually having real life experience yet, it's critical. The couple of things that I think are really important to consider from what I hear from Francois is you got to start with the end in mind with customers, or when you're thinking about implementing, if you are customers thinking and looking at this. For me, it's what is the data graph going to look like at the end? Because the data graph and the design of the data graph, and for those of you who don't know what the data graph is, it's a visualization in Data Cloud of where the unified individual sort of is and all the different pieces that sort of link back to that unified individual. So it might be something like their contact email or their contact phone number or an engagement that they've had on a website. And so visually, you can actually see the lines and sort of it's lots of circles kind of all lined in like a web that sort of explains visually how that unified individual, and I'm probably doing Data Cloud a complete disservice in how I'm explaining it, but this is me as a marketer trying to help marketers think about it. But essentially that data graph, from what I've learned, is fundamental to personalization inside Marketing Cloud on Core, because it's the data graph that you use to actually do some decisioning in flows. And it's what you use to bring in what we would either do through AMP to personalize in Marketing Cloud or field merge from account engagement. So actually bringing in first name, last name, those kind of components. But you can imagine with Data Cloud and having so many other different data points, you could actually personalize your emails a lot more through that. So that's the other one. The other one that's also really critical is the calculated insights. So I think calculated insights is very heavily rested upon within this product. because you get a fit score and you get an account fit score, a person fit score, which is what's replacing like scoring and grading. So for Marketing Cloud customers who've never been able to have something like that, this particular platform is offering that kind of capability. But it's all done through this calculated insights. And the calculated insights in Data Cloud is actually like recipes that you've written or like formulas that you've written to say, if all these things have happened, give it a score. And so, just like account engagement, there's a default scoring model in place when you set this up, but it's all editable. So understanding what the right customer fit is important, understanding the data graphs. When you get the bare basics of Marketing Cloud on Core, it comes with 6 out-of-the-box data kits that can get deployed as part of the implementation. What that essentially gets someone is almost what you would get today in account engagement and Marketing Cloud, where you're connecting the CRM part of the CRM to the marketing part, right? Just through Data Cloud. And but the beautiful thing now is that because you've got all these ability to ingest so many different data streams into Data Cloud, you can start to think about bringing more data in. So, but out of the box, when it gets set up, unless a partner and unless you've had some discussions, you're really literally going to get CRM connecting to the Marketing Cloud on Core. The one data kit or one thing that I wanted to point out is person accounts doesn't work very nicely with Data Cloud at the moment. There's an ideas exchange out at the moment where someone's asking to upvote that a person accounts package be created and that can be deployed, because at the moment apparently that's a little bit clunky and a bit like you got to have your wherewithal and know-withal to get that working properly. And then website tracking, like what you would normally get in account engagement, it's not automatically there. So it's another data stream that you'd need to think about bringing in that you could then activate on being able to see website activity of what customers are doing. The configuration of that identity resolution to the unified individual is very, very important. And Pierre Francois does an amazing job of actually explaining that in his series, which is series number 2. I've really enjoyed series number 2 of those video recordings, and I've actually put a link into this deck for you, so you've got straight access to that. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is the credits, because obviously you get credits, and this particular tool works on the consumption model of using Data Cloud to be able to consume, to get activated segments and stuff happening. So when you're implementing Data Cloud, again, it's really important to understand where the consumption of credits happen. So for example, in the ingestion point, when you bring all your data in, that's a major credit consumption process within Data Cloud. So before you go ahead and just bring everything into Data Cloud from a data stream, it's important to probably look at those data streams and the fields that you want to bring and try and isolate only that you want to bring in, rather than just going, oh, well, we don't know and we'll bring everything in, because you largely potentially going to pay for consumption that you don't really need to. So that's kind of my view of the Data Cloud stuff. For those of you who don't really understand the unified individual, I thought this is a great little diagram to show like all those siloed, disparate, and this is just looking at the CRM at this stage, where, we've got Rachel's information in the CRM, we've got her in marketing, we've got her in commerce, and we've got her from other sources. But what we want to do is get to a point where all this information from Rachel is in a very, very sort of created in this unified individual manner, where we can actually still see like, where did all that information come from? Where is it linked to? But how do we as marketers from a unified individual make sure that we're emailing and communicating to Rachel effectively through Marketing Cloud on Core? So just a little bit more of a diagram taken from Francois' presentation, where you've got everything coming in as individuals in the beginning. You use the matching rules to create sort of those subsets of individuals, and then you use the reconciliation to create that unified individual, which gets us to that kind of look in terms of data. Okay. I'm not going to go through all of this, but these are sort of some terms that they use between Marketing Cloud on Core and Data Cloud, and they're probably terms to get familiar with, because it's kind of, there's a little bit of a new language that we start to speak, just the way things are referred to. It's a bit like trying to move from account engagement to Marketing Cloud. You've got to learn new lingo just to help you understand what you're trying to do. But here's what I said. There's the session 2 YouTube session, and then he's written a great blog as well, a survival guide. So there's some resources if anyone wants to dig deeper. In terms of features, it's when we'll see when we go through the actual platform itself, the kind of big thing is this centralized campaign hub. And so the whole of Marketing Cloud on Core is actually centralized around the campaign object, which for a lot of us who've been in the Marketing Cloud account engagement world really knows how important that object is, and how naming conventions, setting it up properly, creating the right hierarchies, getting all of that stuff set up correctly from the foundational level so that you can roll reporting up and kind of easily report on it. So yeah, what you'll see when we do the demo, the campaign hub is kind of like my one-stop shop for everything that's part of my campaign now, though. So I can see who my segment is, what the flow is, what are the EDMs, what are the landing pages, all kind of on one screen. So making it a lot more efficient, I'd say. The Einstein Gen AI stuff, you'll see that in action as well. That's kind of one of the big differences between the platforms. We obviously know, most of us know, that you can use natural language and actually prompt segmentation from Data Cloud. Again, as I say, I think this platform could potentially be incredibly frustrating for some marketers if they don't understand what's gone into Data Cloud and how, when they're prompting, to prompt it to effectively get what they need. You can build segments manually as well, so don't, it's not like you have to prompt it and then rely on your prompting ability. There's obviously the Agentforce component, send time optimization, which is not really new for Marketing Cloud, but for account engagement, that's a real win. Then the grading and scoring element, which I know a lot of Marketing Cloud customers would love to have grading and scoring, has been brought in, and people scoring will replace your grading and scoring in Marketing Cloud on Core. And as I said to you, that's done via calculated insights. For those customers who are doing like a lot of ABM, account-based marketing, you've got the ability to do this engagement fit against an account. So being able to see from an account level, who's a good fit. We've obviously got landing pages and forms. So from a Marketing Cloud perspective, haven't got that capability as nicely as you do in Marketing Cloud account engagement, but now it would be open up for everyone. One of the new things that's in there is being able to add your brand guidelines. And again, there's nuances. I've got some sort of things that I'll chat to you about there. Big one for account engagement customers is being able to do this cross-object custom personalization. So we all know with account engagement, you're restricted to the kind of core objects, lead, contact, accounts, opportunity. And once everything comes out of that into custom objects, you kind of lose sight unless you've got custom object integration. And even with that, you're only being able to view stuff that's related to contacts, and then you can only use it to help segment your data. So you can never use that data to personalize or to use merge fields and stuff. So this has been a huge cry out from an account engagement perspective that I think this particular product solves well. We talked about the Salesforce flows. We talked a little bit around now you've got the ability. So account engagements never really had its own SMS tool. There were a couple that you would be using. Marketing Cloud has, but yeah, being able to WhatsApp and SMS out of the tool as well is kind of the first omni-channel kind of channels that are in it right now. And then the dynamic content, not really new, but just I think the way dynamic content works is significantly different to how the other platforms work. Again, Erin did a fantastic session on session 1 where she deep dives into more detail on some of those features. I've just rattled quickly because we've got time constraints. And then Claudia did an amazing session where she actually she shows you about how the data graph and how all the different personalization tags and how all of that works, how you'd build email templates, how you'd build the landing page templates and customize them. So it would be great to be able to view those. We just don't have the time to go into that much detail today. So Marketing Cloud and Marketing Cloud account engagement. So there was this big announcement that now all Marketing Cloud account engagement customers has access to Marketing Cloud on Call. And what does this mean? It means that essentially a Marketing Cloud account engagement customer can access, and they'll be given access to what permission set licenses that enable them to turn this on. However, it is a totally different platform. And so you will need to have Data Cloud up and running, and you will need to implement it. So you'll still need to get the domains verified. You'll still need to go through some steps of implementation to stand the platform up, because it needs to go through that process. So just the permission set licenses are not going to get you a working Marketing Cloud on Call. But for some of you, you might have seen the screen on your account engagement. That's pretty much what it's telling you to do. It's saying, well, you can activate it, but you will need to be able to you have to get Data Cloud. Now, Data Cloud for customers, I believe the foundations licenses, Salesforce Foundations, offers like a raft of access to different things, one of them being to marketing, one of them being to Data Cloud. So like, you know, a smaller business looking to try and access this or get going can potentially, you know, use the foundation, Salesforce Foundations. I know in the US and abroad, and not yet in Australia, Foundations comes with a bundle of credits for marketing. I'm not sure why that's not available in Australia, but if it's available elsewhere, I can only imagine it's sort of coming to Australia and will be available. Yeah, if you want to chat to anyone, like if I think and also just to say, no partners have actually had any enablement in this platform in region yet. So if you want to chat, I think Salesforce has had some enablement and would probably be able to speak more to some of the credits. And what I have heard is that the credits that are allocated to this Marketing Cloud on Call, if you're using 10,000 contact blocks in your account engagement today, you should be okay with the credits that you've been given. But that's just on the proviso that when you set it up, you use those standard data kits that I explained are in there. As you're starting to introduce new data streams that are outside of that, and depending on how much is in those data streams, you can imagine you'd start to create, start to consume more credits. Again, Francois wrote a great blog the other day that I've just put in a tabular form to kind of look at Marketing Cloud, account engagement, and Marketing Cloud on Call sort of concepts compared. And so I'm not going to spend too much time here other than point out that there's no business units in Marketing Cloud on Call just yet. I know you can do data spaces in Data Cloud, but just reading and listening to conversations, that won't suffice like a proper business unit kind of setup. The campaign object is slightly different in account engagement versus on Call, which you'll see. And then is there anything else? Yeah, like, I mean, in account engagement, all your automations are done with completion actions, automation rules, or engagement programs or page actions. Whereas on Call, we talk about a flow-based, form-based trigger or an event flow. So the form flow is obviously when a form comes in and it triggers that process. And then the event flow is exactly what Adam's just asked, is does that replace like a journey builder? Yes, Adam. So the flows will trigger an event. So an event is actually like a sending of an email, a sending of an SMS. And so that becomes a journey. So there's no like special journey builder. and you'll see when we get in there, it's kind of like you tell it you want to do a multi-step campaign, and then it'll give you 3 different emails versions, and then you can just start to edit those down. Anything here? Just something to note, in Data Cloud, they've introduced a prospect, and I know Vlad's on the call, so he can, but there's a prospect data stream as well. Don't get it confused with the prospect database in account engagement, but it can be used in a similar way, that you can store information in there until like a lead is converted and then pass it through. That's kind of stuff that I've heard being spoken about in the grapevine. And then, yeah, other than that, I think I've put Pierre's blog here in the deck, so you can go and read up around what is kind of different and how do they compare. What will be interesting is when they start to move this product more across to Marketing Cloud customers, and then doing like a 3-way comparison. Just so everybody knows, and I probably should have started with this, is the way I'd be looking at Marketing Cloud on Core right now is it's really been built and it's at sort of maturity stage for an SMB B2B customer. Even in that state, it would be someone that's really got some very simple use cases, nothing really complicated in terms of what they do. Very important from a consent perspective. I believe consent is a little bit tricky, and so to set up. And so, like, not really going with a customer who's global, who might have all these different consent requirements across a globe right now. I think something really simplistic, single brand, simple consent rules, and really simple use cases would someone like I'd say who's using a MailChimp, who really needs to step up and start to connect them, be more integrated with the CRM system and stuff. So I also wrote a little bit of an article on LinkedIn recently. I didn't think to put my own article in here, but I will. So you can have a read of that, because for me, it kind of gives my point of if I was considering using this platform, what are the things that are really important from my perspective. Okay, so we've got this far, and I've managed. I'm going to show you a bit of a demo now. So let me just get back to there. All right. I know there's been heaps of questions, and I know that someone's been answering them. Is there anything that we don't want to move on until we've seen or heard anything else? Push and mobile app. Yeah, Tracy, I'm not sure of that roadmap stuff. I haven't actually seen a roadmap. She wanted to know whether push and mobile app features were in play. I would hazard a guess that kind of stuff would be done out of Data Cloud through, I actually, don't let me hazard a guess, because that would be terrible of me to just guess that. But yeah, we'd have to see what comes out of Salesforce. If anyone's going to Connections in June, and so for those of you who don't know what Connections is, it's like the marketing equivalent of Dreamforce, but it's so much better because it's so concentrated on marketing that you don't get like that, that I'm in a tourist destination and I don't know where to go at Dreamforce, and you kind of like don't feel like you really nail anything. Whereas at Connections, it's very focused. And I'll be going in June, and I believe we're going to hear some announcements there around like Data Cloud on Marketing Cloud on Core and Marketing Cloud, and some more roadmap stuff. The last release was huge that came out of Marketing Cloud on Core. So yeah, cool. All right, Vlad, thanks. You've been putting in and Lakshmi. So I'm going to move on. And I'm going to show you. So what I am in now is the Marketing Cloud on Core workspace. What I wanted to just show you is true form. There now, if you look in the app builder, in the app launcher, there's 2 marketings. If you're using account engagement and Marketing Cloud on Core, this is how you would toggle between the 2. But you need to know the orange one is account engagement and the white one is Marketing Cloud on Call. So at the moment, I'm in Marketing Cloud on Call. And
Are you sharing, Tammy?
Yeah, I thought I was. Clearly not. Thanks, Andy. Let me go back. All right. So in the app launcher, if I just look for marketing, you'll see orange is your it will be your account engagement, and the white one with gray would be your Marketing Cloud on Call. So essentially, this is a homepage where you'd start to see a view of your calendar, like a sort of a summary, but up here I've got an ability to click on a tab which brings up a whole calendar and shows me sort of when flows are going to be triggered, when certain emails are going out, and sort of really holistic view on the month. Much better than account engagements, which is quite hard to kind of get onto one page. This one's been designed with that in mind. And then any recent activity, so anything that you've been working on, whether it's your flows or your segments or your email templates, you can see those there. If you've had any flows recently activated, you'd start to get a list of all those here, and then all those that are scheduled. We've also got the ability to jump straight in here and go straight to creating a campaign. If I did that, it just takes me through to the campaign object, and I would then start just similarly as to how I would do it now, which is one way to do it. But I want to show you when you're using Einstein or Agentforce, what happens. The brand and content stuff is pretty cool, but there are some nuances. So when you're setting it up, you are prompted, and I'm not sure if it's going to take me back. You're prompted to add your brand identity in. And when you do that, it asks you for a whole lot of information. One of it being like, what's your brand tone? What's your brand voice? There's actually a limited amount, and in the new releases, they've actually expanded that, but there's a limited amount of what you're able to write up about your brand tone and brand voice. So again, if you work with an agency and you need the agency to help you craft that, like knowing what that character limit is quite important. And the other thing, which it doesn't look like I'm going to get back to today, is when you're putting your company colors in, and you're putting the primary colors and the secondary, it's really important to work, I would say, with the brand, with your branding agency, because a lot of the way that the brand IDs have been written and the way that the language is used in Salesforce is a bit different, but it can make a big difference to how your buttons look and everything, depending on which colors you put where in setting up the brand identity. So I know, sorry that I can't show it to you now, but it's quite a critical thing, I think, because that would just, again, take huge amount of frustration away from marketers when they're getting their emails set up that things look right and they're not playing around with colors and changing colors and stuff. And then there's obviously the ability to go into the success and the reporting from there. If you hit the little Agentforce icon at the top, you suddenly are presented with a prompt builder, and you can then start to prompt it and ask it to do something. So I can ask it to write me a brief, and then I can create a brief or create a campaign. So if I create the brief, all I'm saying is help me. And again, the prompting for me is the key to create a campaign, to invite user group members to our session on Marketing Cloud on Call. Now, I haven't really said much here. Like it's quite loose. Again, the less loose your brief is, the better your brief's going to become in the end. And I think everyone's kind of learning that with all AI. The prompt is the key and the crux to getting something decent. So once I've submitted that, it will come up with, we'll start thinking about it. And here you go. It's given me the brief name. So it's given it a name. Again, one of the things that I've picked up around naming conventions is when you do an AI generated prompt, it comes up with very different names to things like the campaign name, the form name, the email name. And I actually think naming conventions and keeping alignment between all of those things will still be very important. So be aware of that, because just using the AI, you don't get that consistency, which is, I think, quite an important thing. And so maybe in the brief, when I prompted, I could say, make sure all naming conventions are consistent across everything. I haven't tried that. But yeah, so now if I like that, and it gives me the description of my brief, who my target segment needs to be, and then what are my key messages in this. If I confirm that and say, yeah, I'm happy with it, it'll actually then create the whole stuff. Would you like to proceed creating? I say, yep, thank you. So it's created a campaign to invite the members. And would you like me to proceed with saving this and with the details provided? And I say, yes, I'm happy. So, kind of 2 to 3 minutes, because my prompt was great. I got exactly what I needed, and I didn't go and edit or change anything. So, and there you go. So suddenly I've got everything sitting here with a campaign preview, and it's going to say confirm. Okay, save the campaign. Okay, all right, I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to hit open the campaign. All right, so this is my brief. Here I can start to select the brand that I've added. So if I select that brand and add it in, it'll add that brand to everything that I'm doing. And now, for some reason, I can't work out, how do I get back to the campaign? I'm going to go related, here you go, to the campaign, and I'm going to hit the campaign. I'm just going to close Agentforce for now, just to kind of increase the screen. But here, as I said to you earlier on that campaign hub, this is the campaign hub. So what I have here on the left is sort of my brief. I've got details, I've got anything that's related, I've got any campaign members that might be related to this. And then I've got this particular session that we've got open. And then I've also got, in the future, once I get insights and performance off of this particular campaign, I can just hit that and start to get the insights. I can schedule my campaigns here. I can start to look at my trigger. So that's down the left-hand side here is the flow. So Adam, you were asking like Journey Builder or Engagement Studio Builder. This is your flow here. This particular one campaign we've put together is only one email, but we could have said create a sequence of emails that we'd like to use to be able to remind customers. So again, the prompt we use is going to make or break how this thing kind of flows, but I can add emails to this if I want to. Okay. So selecting the segments, I can either use quick filters, campaign members, or the segment builder itself, or I can select an existing segment that I have. The quick filters, just so you can see, give me the ability to just kind of use some logic. So maybe it's all contacts, right? Or any contacts created today, for example. I can do some logic, and I can say and or, so I can start to combine some of these quick filters together, and then I can create my list. I can actually go into that list, and I can go and edit that again once it's created, and it takes a little bit of time to run, so it won't finish up while we're doing this, which was probably because I've got no data, it's run. But here you can see now I can edit it when I'm happy, or if I'm not happy with it, I can go back and change. And when I am happy, I can publish it so that that list is ready. Again, when we get into the email builder, really easy to edit and get around it, which I think sometimes in the other platforms, it kind of feels like it's clunky because I've got to go here, then I've got to change there, and I've got to save there. Everything's sitting here in this one sort of flow. So I can go into editing, and it takes me into the email builder, and I can start to edit in the email builder. Now, this is the enhanced email builder. It's called the same thing, but it's the new one. So for those of you using account engagement currently, there's options for 3 email builders. There's classic, which is what it came with. Then they introduced the lightning, what I call the lightning drag and drop. which is actually called the Enhanced Email Builder. And then the third one, so it's the middle one, Salesforce has stopped supporting that one because they're actually putting their time and effort into improving this particular builder so that account engagement customers can use the Marketing Cloud on Core email builder. So they're trying to get it up to parity of what the current Lightning drag and drop builder is. It doesn't mean you can't use the current drag and drop builder. It just means that if you've got issues with it, Salesforce aren't supporting it. So it still works. You can still use it. It just means they're moving on. So you're probably getting prompted every time you want to create a drag and drop builder in account engagement if you want to use this other builder. And so there are things for sure in this builder that are not at parity with account engagements right now. But in the last release, there were some major things for the email builder that came out they are fast and furiously making sure that this email builder becomes kind of really good. Again, you can see I can select my brand if I hadn't, and it starts to show me the color combo. This is what I was trying to show you earlier around the way that these are labeled is how they actually display when I add things into the actual email builder. And so if I want to change that, then change the way the button's been displayed, I need to go and edit the way that the brand colors are actually put into the brand guidelines. But again, everything's drag and drop. You have got the HTML component in here. We've got layouts where we can add sections. At the moment, we're going to add images in terms of media. This is where you add your variation and so I don't have time to show everyone exactly how to do this today, but Claudia did a great session where she actually goes into detail around how do you use the data graph in this instance to start creating your personalization settings. So we haven't got our setup to do that yet. And just so similar to the other builder, other than you can't, like at the moment, you can only use one email preference center page link in this builder, and you can't, if you've got multiple brands, you can't change it for the brands like you would do in account engagement today. So that's one thing that I think is quite important. But generally, it's great. You've got the Agentforce here, so you can actually use Agentforce to help you generate content, change content, tag things, name things, you name it. It will help you. Sorry, I'm just going to go back. So obviously, once you've got everything sort of sorted and you're kind of ready for your next steps, you'd want to go and check your flow. And this is essentially where it all kind of comes alive. So the flow builder, it's the same flow builder as what CRM uses, other than there's a whole lot of democratized flows that are used, that have been pre-built for marketing to try and help marketers to be able to do things a little bit easier, right? And so not as complicated as what a flow in the CRM could be. But it comes with lists, library lists of things to do. And you've got Einstein here to help you think about building the flow to kind of guide you along the way. So yeah, again, as I say, I've not going to go into too much depth today in this, but it's the same for those of us who've used account engagement. It's a similar experience. I've got a whole lot of things and actions I can take, as well as then I've got a whole lot of logic that I can use. I can use a decision split. The really cool thing about this particular platform is I love the way it does A/B testing. So it's got a great way of doing A/B testing, and you can do it like multiple decision splits as well. So that's something that I know people really kind of find difficult with both account engagement and Marketing Cloud, and they've really thought of that really correctly. Well, it's called the path experiment. So really cool. And yeah, so for those of you, again, if you're not familiar with flow, as Vlad says, you can use Trailhead to go and do a little bit, or you can maybe watch some. There's probably some really great videos out there. But as I say, these flows have been designed quite specifically for marketers. I believe you can get into the more detailed flow if you wanted to really like shoot the lights out and you had an amazing capability in flow. You can get access to do more. All right, that's a lot of talking, and we've got like 10 minutes left, and I was hoping I'd just kind of give you a little bit of a run through of kind of the feel of the platform. When you're finished and everything's happy, you would then obviously publish this all, and once you've published, you will then go through the process of it being ready to go out and send. But I really think this sort of one page kind of setup is really cool. It saves a lot of clicks from place to place, and I feel like it's quite a nice UI in terms of how we can use that. You do get access to some of the stuff for Data Cloud as a marketer, so you can kind of look at the Profile Explorer. That helps from like a more sort of simplistic term to understand some information, like the way that information's been pulled together. And you do get access to the identity resolution tab as well, which is really important for marketers from the Data Cloud piece as well. So I'm hoping I saw some questions that have been asked. More flexibility in Marketing Cloud and core versus old. Oh, there's definitely product gaps, Matt, at the moment, but chatting to the product team in America, the momentum that they have behind this product in terms of like closing those gaps is huge. I actually think this year, out of all the years in the Salesforce ecosystem, this is a tough year to be a marketer in the Salesforce ecosystem. We are faced with so many new things this year. It's going to be a whirlwind of how we're going to keep up. I mean, we've got to keep up with the new intelligence now off of Data Cloud. We've got to keep up with the new personalization off of Data Cloud. This particular platform, those are major learning curves for all of us. And so, yeah, like I think we're going to feel like we've been in the trenches for the next 2 years as marketers. But can you imagine coming out of it with following a product from its inception stage and watching it evolve into what I definitely think is like a really great future for Salesforce? But yeah, it's got some time to get there. So automated, Matt, more like data kits. So the Data Cloud side of things, it's a data kit where you can deploy it, and it will take the data kit, the information from the data stream that's mapped to the data model, and it'll have some mapping done, and you will still have to sit there and do the identity resolution and the matching and stuff to make sure that everything is still like 100% working properly. And that's the piece, as well as the data graph piece and the calculated insight piece, that I think is going to be fundamental to making this platform work really, really well. Yo, okay. Anything else?
I think Vlad's just wrapped it up pretty clearly with talking about the gap across the 3 product offerings. Like, I feel like that's really a key. Like, if you're already on one of the other platforms, when do you make the shift? Like, where's that sweet spot? It's like there's exciting things on this new platform that you really want to dive into, but there's gaps, and
and we're trying to work with the Salesforce AEs as well, because they're also feeling a little bit lost around like, when do I position this? What's the right client? Because the other thing is, you don't want the first implementation in APAC to be like egg in someone's face either. So, my advice to them is you go with the simplest use cases at the moment, because those are going to bring most joy to everyone. and then grow with the platform. For those of you who've been around from the account engagement days, I mean, I remember in 2017 going through something really similar for about 2 years where they just took Pardot from, and I'm calling it Pardot because that's what it was then. They took it from one level to another level, and like keeping up with that was just insane, right? But we did, and we've kind of like, we've got to a point where we've learned, we've taken those, jumped those hurdles and hoops, and it's going to be the same with this. Like, there's no mincing anything around here. We are. It's going to be a tough time, but I do see this really taking off, and then a lot of people are saying, well, when is do we migrate from Marketing Cloud to this platform? And it's like, well, Salesforce, the intention is they don't want people to migrate, they want to offer upgrades. So just like I explained, Marketing Cloud and account engagement have access to this. The kind of use case that I would say a Marketing Cloud account engagement customer who might consider toggling between the two is one of those ones that's got that really complicated data model in CRM and have never really been able to use Pardot or account engagement effectively because of that. That could be why they would toggle between the two and maybe send some emails out of the one and use this to actually do those other emails. Or a customer who's keen to get SMS, right? They're just keen to get some SMS capability, so they could use SMS here, and then start to kind of learn both, and then go, oh, this one actually works better for this use case. And then over time, I feel like as this product grows and improves, the customers will be more like, okay, I'm spending more time in this particular platform. There's no point in having the two. So let's kind of move over. And it'll be the same thing in a Marketing Cloud. Like they're going to start adding components of this. Like we've got the email builder now and account engagement to Marketing Cloud, and how they're going to do that will be very interesting. And I believe Connections will kind of start to explain that. But some of us have seen some screenshots already of, data extensions being added in, and like some fun, interesting stuff. But I think it'll be a matter of not a long time.
I think it'll be important for people that are jumping to do some things on the new platform and some still in account engagement to have that your campaigns set up properly, so you can still track everything regardless of where it was sent from and things like that. So there was a question, someone asking about the difference between campaigns and campaign members, but as far as I understand, it's using the CRM campaign object.
Yeah, you're going to use the same campaign object, campaign members. And that is the other way that if you didn't want to use Data Cloud for your segmentation, I believe you can use, well, you saw in the segmentation options, you can use, it won't come up now because we've actually triggered this, but you can use campaign members as one of those options when we were setting this up to and then you drop your campaign members into the campaign and then use that to ingest someone into an email sequence. Yeah, a lot of people hate that, but it is another way. Yeah.
And we can see from the Marketing Cloud's engagement side how like some of the things are being shifted now to like Data Cloud, like the advertising audiences and stuff. And I can see that there'll be more things starting to be shifted that way, and where you start to use Data Cloud more for your segmentation, whereas at the moment you don't need to. But
I've been saying for the last 2 years, Data Cloud will be everything in Salesforce, and you will leverage Data Cloud as the foundational element of everything you do, and you'll start to use widgets. So you'll use it for advertising, you'll use it for marketing, like just your email campaigns, you'll use it for sales, CRM, you'll use it for service, for commerce. It is the layer that, in the future, every single Salesforce customer will have Data Cloud that's working. And that's their dream. It's not going according to the dream just yet, but I think that's the way they're building, and that's the future. And I think I'm chatting to some other friends in the Adobe space. Adobe's doing the same. It's not like Salesforce is just on their own. So, okay, guys, we've gone over about 2 minutes. I really appreciate everyone's time, and hopefully someone's walked away with some kind of new little nuggets of information that you can sit and ponder on or go and research and dive more deeply into. We'll send out the deck tomorrow. Actually, I'm not working tomorrow, so it'll be next week. And then you can just consume all that stuff and hopefully learn more. And please be involved in the community, because we're going to all have to share with each other and learn and tell each other what we're experiencing to grow in this situation. Like, no one needs to keep secrets. Let's all work on this together so we make sure it's a success for everyone. Cool.
Thanks, Tammy. That was great.
Chat soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.